On this edition of Safari Changemakers.
Come up and have a feel. She's running a little bit so she's nice and warm and cool her down. Yeah, she's hundreds.
Beautiful, hey?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you don't expect it to be so soft, eh? Yeah.
I think the left-sided tips are going to be a problem. Maybe right-sided tips.
We can roll out.
This is Safari Changemakers. Conversations with Africa's most innovative visionaries, the guardians, pioneers, and trailblazers, offering solutions to the most pressing challenges facing the continent. Over-tourism, human-wildlife conflict, the climate crisis, and environmental degradation. Conversations that reveal bold strategies for sustainable tourism leading to economic opportunities for indigenous communities while protecting local ecosystems and wildlife. Here's your host, founder of Artisans of Safari, recognized by Travel and Leisure and Condé Nast Traveler magazines as one of the top travel specialists for Africa, Karin Jones.
I am here today with Angus Douglas, who is the man behind Kwandwe here and has been here for many, many years. And I'm very excited because today I spent the morning with Angus and an amazing team doing a rhino conservation activity. I definitely want to talk a little more about that, but I also want to just hear a little bit more about you and who you are, because I think people are really interested in people behind the scenes.
No, thanks very much and welcome. It's fantastic to have you with us. I think, yeah, I've been in this industry for, it doesn't really matter, but over 30 years or so. Let's not go too much into the dates. But yeah, I started as a game guide, as a game ranger, driving guests around. So it started at Mala Mala Game Reserve in the Greater Kruger area, in the Sabi Sands Game Reserve. And then spent some time working in northern Botswana before I met the couple that originally financed, an American couple from Florida who originally financed the development of Kwandwe that we partnered with, and met them under the African stars. And lots of people get dreamy when they're under the African stars. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And then, and there's always a lot of discussion, but nothing kind of ever follows through. But this one did. And we got here around about the end of 1998. We had acquired the first piece of land, and essentially this, that led to what is today. But there's a little bit that happened in between. This was originally a goat and ostrich farming area. So driving around on the plains like you have been, if you can picture kind of 10,000 ostriches, a lot of dust, a lot of feathers. That was what was here. And then two different types of goats. So the mohair goat, the Angora goat, and then the Boer goat, which is bred for meat. So those were kind of the main farming activities. So this whole property was a patchwork of internal fences and kind of agriculture, and there was very, very little wildlife here. There were mainly just kudu, the antelope species, some baboons, some very well-fed baboons because they ate all the ostrich food, and monkeys and a couple of other critters. But everything you see here today, the elephants, the buffalo, the rhino, the predators, everything was brought in a really, really ambitious rewilding project. So this lodge that we're sitting in here now, our first lodge, it'll turn 25 years old in September this year.
And it's so beautiful. It's been kept up really incredibly.
Yeah, no, maintenance is is everything, especially with thatch and wood and things. But it's very easy to talk about a process that's kind of taken 27 years, but I can't talk about that process without talking about all the people that helped along the way. So it's whether they spend a month here or 10 years or they're still here, it doesn't matter. Everybody made a contribution to what it is today.
I mean, this area is absolutely massive.
Yeah, yeah.
How big is it?
It's 74,000 acres now. We own a little bit more than that, but that's kind of in the property. 74,000 acres, but the great privilege of it is that we only have 52 beds, so 26 rooms on the whole property. So you can go into a sighting and be the only person there, and you won't see another vehicle. If you don't want to see another vehicle, you won't see another vehicle. Yeah. So from that perspective, really exclusive. I guess it was kind of born out of our experience in Botswana. We really, really liked that idea of kind of, low volume tourism in big spaces. We obviously we can't chase into the hundreds of thousands of acres, but yeah, from a South African perspective, this is a really big piece of land. Yeah.
So, rewilding, what does that really mean?
Well, it's about trying your best to take the landscape back to what it was 300 years ago. So what we have in our area, we're on the banks of the Great Fish River now, is that this was a frontier. This is a frontier between European settlement and the indigenous African tribe, which I'm going to get you to say the name Amaxhosa people.
Amaxhosa.
Amaxhosa, yes. So this was a wonderful wildlife area of Africa. And interestingly enough, it just simply didn't have tsetse flies. So people could settle their stock here. It didn't have sleeping sickness, which is transmitted by tsetse flies. So the mid-1700s accounts of this area was massive herds of elephant moving up and down this river system, plenty of black rhino, lots of lion. They refer to them as the Cape lion because their manes went all the way down their belly. I don't know if genetically they were any different, but they were adapted to living here. Lots and lots of leopard, brown hyena, wild dogs, cheetah. In fact, the last cheetah were killed on a property about 20 miles west of where we're sitting in 1888. So there were cheetah up here until the late 1800s. So, so you take all that information, you acknowledge that the landscape has changed a bit, and then you start bringing those animals back. And it's look, it's we have the capacity in this country to move animals, wild animals. It's unbelievable. Most of it was born out of our national parks board and our provincial parks boards, experimenting, and getting the best solutions. So we can capture and relocate a herd of elephant into a truck within an hour or two. So we have that capacity and kind of, I wouldn't call it technology. It's a lot of hydraulics and big steel crates, but we can do all that kind of work. So to bring all those animals in. So we started doing that in about the year 2000, and we opened in 2001, but we were busy expanding all the time. So, but if you had to ask me, like, what's the period of your life you'd like to relive? Man, that was the best part.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it just, it was going to fetch elephants, going to fetch rhino, flying in a plane with the lions. I mean, it was like every young guy's dream. It was certainly a time of my life that I'd relive over and over and over, given any opportunity. We did make some mistakes. We did. I mean, we brought in antelope species here that we thought would be good for the area. We thought they'd be good for the cheetah. The cheetah ignored them. They ate all the grass. I mean, so we've made some mistakes, but
Right.
we also had a lot of advice. We created a lot of research opportunities. So we were informed all the time about what we were doing by the research that was done. Yeah, and then these rewilding properties, eventually they start maturing. Because in the beginning you're tinkering quite a lot, removing species, adding species, and kind of checking how the whole thing works and getting an idea of how it functions. Because remember, a lot of wildlife research is done in pure savanna biome. We're not a pure savanna biome. We've got 5 different biomes, so there's a lot of that.
New territory.
Yeah, it's kind of new territory and tinkering. There were some, so and so did it like this, but essentially this area is unique. It's arid, as you can see outside. So there were a couple of things, But then you kind of get to the stage where you tinker less and less and less, and you manage less and less and less. So everything kind of matures, and then you start seeing the processes that you don't have any control of. You start seeing the birds of prey, the raptors coming back. You start seeing leopard. I mean, leopards live where they want. There's no fence that can. Yeah, you have to put a roof over the whole place.
So they came back on
yeah,
their own?
they came back. Yeah,
on their
yeah.
own.
We put 2 in here, and they weren't very successful. So it was actually an indigenous population of leopard that grew up here. And over time, just like it did 35 years ago in the Sabi Sands, we built our leopard viewing around a single female's family tree.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing's happened here now. Just takes that time. So now we talk about the Nomaweni female, the Moya female, Inkwenkwezi, which means star. She's got 2 cubs. But all of them come from the original Fort Dam female. So it's kind of like that
Family tree
is what's critical. And those animals, I like to think they choose you. They choose the area. It's not being disturbed. We have very strict protocols around how we view them, and now they're really relaxed with the vehicles. So those are the great successes, because it's not about catching an animal, putting it in a crate, and releasing it. It's actually about those animals choosing this area as being peaceful, where they won't be harmed, they're not going to be persecuted. This is kind of where they choose to live.
What's a good way to view a leopard? You talked about protocols of viewing.
Yeah, look, I'm old school. I get upset when people get too close. I really don't. I don't like that. I think from my early days, I remember someone saying to me, a leopard will only be seen if it wants to be seen. Otherwise, it's just going to hide away, and you'll never see it. Is that animal puts its trust in you. You must never even give it an inkling of a thought that it can't trust you. So give it its space, and observe the protocols. If there are 2 vehicles around the sighting, never have 2 vehicles running at one time. If one vehicle needs to move, the other vehicle stands still, turns its engine off, the other vehicle moves. Because as soon as 2 vehicles move, it's picking up 2 sets of sound. You can see immediately it starts getting edgy. Don't bash through the bush to get the animal to walk past the front of your bumper. It's the most beautiful creature, and it can be observed from 15, 20 yards away very safely, and without infringing on it. Don't come park underneath it when it's lying in a tree. Don't pressurize them so much. I see that, and please understand, when I started, there were 4 or 5 commercial operations.
Right.
So it was built around a trial and error basis, and so yeah. Look, I don't have that much to do with running the tourism business. My wife decides what color the cushions are. Yvonne decides what's on the menu. But the one thing is that the head guide reports directly to me, and guiding for me is it's the be all and end all of this, because that's what people come here for. If they come here for a comfortable bed, can go anywhere in the world. They come here for the wildlife, and the interpretive experience, and how we educate guests and how we enthrall our guests is really important. The guest might think that they're having an experience, but we want them to become an ambassador for wildlife. Not for Kwandwe, not for that specific species, but for nature and wildlife throughout the world. And that's our opportunity. I always say to the guides, the guest is never going to spend as much time with any other person in our country as they do with you. You've got to influence them on every single level about how great our country is, about how great our area is, about how great the conservation is, how great ecotourism is. All those fundamentals fall squarely on their head. So it's not just a question of jumping into the vehicle and driving off to go and look at the elephant.
I mean, I think it's just really important to reiterate some of those early protocols and how important they are. And I know this morning when I was seeing the cheetah, even just us in one vehicle, I always feel like I'm impinging on that animal, and yet our guide, our amazing guide, Doc, clearly is so respectful. but yeah, that idea that we would be in the way of the cheetah as he's trying to
Yeah,
hunt.
yeah,
So we didn't want to be in the middle of that
yeah.
or in his way.
That kind of feeling is, I wish everyone had it. I mean, I don't think I'd make a very good guide nowadays because of the selfie moment. It's get a little closer. I want this in the background of my picture. So it's probably a good idea I don't drive guests around, but I think as much as it's important to educate people about the behavior of the animal, it's also important to educate them about the respect and just taking time. People are in a rush nowadays. Our lives are so rushed. It's just about taking that time to enjoy, and there's this like new age, terminology of being present.
Yeah.
It's kind of just be present, just absorb the moment, and it's not about the selfie. It's about being with that animal, noticing the intricacies of its behavior, the social structure, the kind of pecking orders that they have. Just watch a bunch of zebra coming down to water, and just look at how the one mare won't allow the other mare to walk in front of her. The stallion's bringing up the back. It's just something as basic as that, as where the stallion's protecting his herd, and those kinds of things that just try and just take your time to observe all that stuff.
And I think a good guide can make even a game drive where you don't necessarily see that cheetah that we saw today, maybe just so impactful and interesting by sharing so just little things. And I think sharing that kind of information about what the right way to see different animals really is actually really helpful. So one of our themes is that, or our main theme really, is that safari tourism can be a force for good.
Let me say it this way: safari tourism should be a force for good, or even use the word must. I think the one thing that's so important is that if you're not involving local communities, and local communities don't have a value attached to the property, you're always going to pick up long-term problems. So it's around uplifting the communities around you. If you take the agriculture that took place on this property, historically, there were a handful of women employed, rural women, and there were probably about a quarter of the men that are employed, just in terms of numbers. And we now look at our staff ratio as probably 50-50 men, women, and the employment opportunities, the upskilling opportunities are massive. So, and in these poverty areas of South Africa, you're probably looking at, depending on which book you read, but I would say conservatively looking at 5 to 6 dependents minimum per employee. So it's, because they live in extended family systems, so it becomes even that, the employment becomes that much more important. So that's one side of it, but then what are we doing outside of that, and so every guest who comes here, some of them don't even know it, but they pay a levy, and 50% of that levy goes to our Community Development Foundation, the Ubunye Foundation. Ubunye means together, or as one. So the Ubunye Foundation was started in 2002, basically started on the property, but it has grown. It now has 36 permanent staff members, and out of the funding that we're able to raise for them, it's probably only about 40% of their operating budget per year, and the rest of it they raise through international aid organizations, Danish government in particular, and then through corporate South Africa through their corporate social responsibility. So they're able to fundraise that money quite successfully in a very tough environment. But it's because the programs that they run are so successful. The major focus is on early childhood development, economic upliftment, and then thirdly, on health programs, focusing mainly around TB prevention and HIV/AIDS prevention. So and really working very, very strongly in those programs with the youth. So in more the teenage years, a lot around sexual health, which obviously relates to HIV/AIDS as well.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, it's an incredible organization run by, an amazing bunch of people. I'm not a trustee. I sit on the management committee, and we meet a couple of times a year, every quarter, and every time we do, I'm so humbled by the work that they do. Really proud of them, and really proud of the fact that an independent organization has been born out of this. So it's not called the Kwandwe Foundation. It's not called the Kwandwe Foundation purposefully, because we don't want it to be seen to be something that we do for kudos.
Right.
We do it because it was part of our original intention. And we've seen it spread eastwards. So far east of us is an area in South Africa that used to be referred to as the Ciskei during the apartheid times. So the Ciskei was kind of like a semi-independent state that the apartheid government developed and moved a whole lot of people into. So it was, and that was done mainly in the kind of around the 70s and 80s. So a lot of the people that there lived in dire poverty. So that's where most of our focus is. We run over 40 early childhood development centers there. And it's the kind of thing that, we're dealing right on the basics, because the poverty line there is. So we're trying to improve facilities by something as simple as a waterborne sewage toilet. So we partnered with an extreme athlete called Cameron Bellamy, who raises funds for us, who builds these eco-loos, so that they're not using pit latrines. I mean, that's the basics of it.
Yeah.
And we've had some fantastic guests that have also made significant contributions to our foundation as well.
Why is it so important that the people around here are getting a benefit?
Yeah, I think long term it comes back to around the fact that you've bought up a big chunk of land, and it's got to create benefits outside of its fence as well. Because as soon as there's a value system, you're going to have less poaching. You're going to you're going to have a more stable economy around it as well, where people are benefiting from it. So we have a community immediate to our boundary that where we through our Rhino Trust, which is slightly different, we run, we acquire vegetables for the lodges that come through. Not all the vegetables make it to the lodges, but we acquire them anyway.
Yeah.
We run the whole water reticulation system for them. We look after their livestock. We built a school in that facility as well, which is run by the government. So that's not really how we like to do things. We prefer to go into a community and work from the bottom up.
Yeah.
What have you got? What resource have you got? And let's build it up. So we don't like to come in and dump aid and walk away. That's not part of our model at all. And then another aspect of what we do now, I think we're on about 480 people per year that we go to rural schools, and we run an environmental education program with them. So we run a syllabus through it called Lessons in Conservation, developed by a dynamic young guy called Dean Carlisle, and he's developed this curriculum that you can actually plug into the system. You've got to go and get permission, and you run a course. So we have an environmental educator on staff who goes and runs those lessons, and then once they finish the syllabus, then they get to come here on a game drive and kind of see it in practice. And we've had fantastic results with that as well. So all the time, what we're trying to do is create a value system that Kwandwe benefits a much broader base than just the owners of the place.
And in the end, you're also creating wildlife ambassadors in a sense too.
100%. And the other thing is that you want to make sure that you attract good people. It's like our communities are very watchful about who comes in, and and are they the right people. And so if they if all of a sudden the wrong people are there, they're telling us very quickly.
So the experience that we had this morning, that was one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had in Africa, and I've been traveling here since 1989.
What's great is for guests to see what goes on behind the scenes, what it takes to protect this species. And it's a species in crisis. Let's,
Black rhino.
Black and white rhino even more so. That's one side of it. The other side of it is to sense the vulnerability of that animal.
Oh my
And I think that's what, when the helicopter's taken off and everybody's kind of done their business and with the injections have been done, the samples are being collected, you've got that little quiet time to just listen to the breathing, touch the animal, and just sense the vulnerability of it. As a species, to have only 6,000 of that subspecies left in the world, it kind of, you recognize that humanity's record isn't all that good.
Oh, yeah.
We might be able to develop AI, we might be able to send people to the moon, but we can't look after a species. It's not. We're not getting any gold stars on that front.
Yeah.
So it's just about that vulnerability for me every time. Your reaction to that experience we see all the time. I mean, I still have that experience. That reaction to that experience. Look, at the end of the day, we're with the original unicorn. It's a dinosaur that you're working with. So yeah, and just to know that young female, with her whole life ahead of her, she's, if we take good care of her and take good care of the area, she's going to contribute a lot to the national population and the world's population, and that's a pretty privileged place to be in. Yeah.
We'll be back with more Safari Changemakers after this.
Safari Changemakers is brought to you by Artisans of Safari. Beyond the map lies adventure. With nearly 40 years guiding travelers into Africa's hidden sanctuaries, we craft journeys as individual as your fingerprint. Expertly designed, deeply personal. Connect with Karin at artisansofsafari.com for your collaborative consultation. Your safari, your story. Artisans of Safari.
So now this young female is now on her own. She's starting to reach out. She'll probably conceive in about a year's time, a year to 18 months time. In her lifetime, she should maybe give us 12, maybe as many as 15 calves, somewhere around there. So her future multiplied by that many times. So that's how important she is in the system of it. When you think Cleany Gibson, the guy waving, one of our Rhino monitors. That over there is Josh. He's the filmer. Doc, Nikki, Nikki, and Craig.
Hey, Craig. And we've got
Courtney and Emily.
And Emily.
Yes, so this whole valley, so the Great Fish River Valley, is one of the most important black rhino conservation areas in Africa. You must always remember that when we started here, there weren't any rhino. There wasn't a white rhino, there wasn't a black rhino, there wasn't pink rhino, no rhinos. So, it's all built up from that. So if you remember your school biology, when the curve starts going down, to turn it back up again, it takes a huge effort.
Yeah.
So in the late 60s in our country, there were about 200 white rhino left. We took that population all the way up to 12, 15,000, somewhere around there. This was the drone coming in that's been doing our white rhino population in the world status is still rare or vulnerable. It's rare, I think. But the black rhino that we're working on today is critically endangered. Okay, so that's kind of why we're doing things. How we're going to do it is Alex is going to land in the helicopter. Emily will jump in and she'll put a dart into its backside and we'll all go ooh and ah.
So it's a modified 0.22. So this is the original 0.22 and then they've modified the top. This is slightly shorter than the dart we're going to use today. So ours is 2.5 inches, this is 2. So a nice long needle. That's because of how thick their skin is, especially over the bum. On impact, this will push the drugs in. These days, we use a mix of opioids that are 1,000 times more potent than morphine.
And then after about 3 to 5 minutes of the black rhino, it will go down, it will be anesthetized. Black rhino are often anesthetize themselves by running into bushes. That's how they stop themselves. Obviously, Emily does the anesthetic, but to actually get them to stop, they actually hit something first. This is a 4.5-year-old female, so a little bit easier to manage. We don't have a massive team with us, but if we're doing like a big white rhino bull, there'd be 10, 12 of us. So we'll haul her out the bush if she's in a bush, and we'll put a blindfold around her. We'll put earplugs in her ears just to dull her senses, and then the procedure can begin. And the most important part of the procedure, thanks Nikki, is to fit this collar to the animal's leg. And this is probably, in my 35 years, probably the most revolutionary piece of kit I've seen. It's got a machine learning algorithm in here, so it's got some baseline data that it works off, and then it builds up a knowledge of that exact animal's behavior, and it determines if that animal's behaving outside of its parameters, and then it gives us 3 level warnings: gray, amber and red. It's also got this recessed kind of really hard perspex or plastic, hardened plastic solar panel, so it charges as well. So we've got some collars on the animals here that we haven't changed for 4 years. Okay. And this will also give Nikki the ability to be able to see where she is. Oh, and you probably got somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 females that are, well, even less than that, that are sexually active. So it's a little bit scary when you think of it from that perspective. It shows the value of a creature like this.
So whilst it's down, we're going to put the collar on. We may give some vitamins. We're going to see the sort of state of her and if we need to give anything. Then when it's time to wake up, we'll get everyone into the vehicles and then we'll just inject it in the muscle, because they wake up so quickly with a naltrexone, which is relative, if you've heard of naloxone from the opioid crisis.
Yeah.
Same family.
Okay.
It works pretty quickly and they wake up angry. So we only do it in the muscle to give ourselves time to get to the vehicles. We'll watch from a distance very quietly.
The dart is in.
Oh, she's already shot it?
It's just shot now.
So does that mean he's going to start running this way?
Go ahead.
He's going to start running this way?
Hope so. They're gonna try to push this way. We need to protect him. If you can think deep about that.
Yeah.
Get him killed just for the horn, which is nothing. It's nothing in that horn. That is so wrong.
It's
you know.
just,
2 minutes, 3 minutes. They're just making the area safe. Animal is on the safe position. Yeah, sometimes they just fall off and lie up in maybe upside down. They just want to put on the legs and the chest, and then they lie, and then they're able to breathe.
She's fine, she's breathing well. Her blood color, you'll see Courtney has put a catheter in her ear and looks at the blood color from time to time. So we're looking for brightness, showing good oxygenation, and darkness, showing a lack of oxygenation. But come up and have a feel. She's run a little bit, so she's nice and warm, and cool her down. Just come and stand more on this side. Just stay away from the business end. Come here, come here. Yeah. Yeah, she's hundreds.
Beautiful, hey?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you don't expect it to be so. You don't expect it to be so soft, eh? Yeah.
I think the left side of hips will be a problem. Maybe right side of hips.
We can roll it up. Just she will have this tremors.
Shaking.
Yeah, that's 100%
We're just
normal.
about to get to the water.
Yeah. Just gonna cool her. You can see she's been sweating here. If you feel it, it's quite damp. Yeah. Yeah. Well, she's got her feet up so nicely for us. Just look how cool their feet are. See how soft they are?
Yeah.
And she's got like a built-in sort of shock absorber system to take this weight and displace the weight on four of her legs. Yeah. So 3-toed animal. So not a cloven hoof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is good as a.
The same footprint we saw this morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at such cool feet.
We're going to just pour some water just to cool her down a bit.
Okay, we'll let the guys come in here and put the collar on. But while you're here, just have a look at her lip. That's obviously what makes a black rhino unique. Call that a prehensile lip, much like an elephant's trunk. You know, it's got that ability to grab things. So it can go into these thick bush clumps.
Thank you.
And it's able to select exactly what it wants to eat out of that bush clump.
I'm just putting my hand in so that I can see the collar can roll around, because if anything stuck here, then it will hurt the skin of the animal. So we need a gap that fits a hand in so that its collar itself it's able to move around the leg.
And you're measuring the length of the horn.
Yeah, we take horn measurements every time we dart the animals, just as a way to keep track of horn growth. Sometimes the horns knock off, so it's good to know if it's gone back down and then grows back.
So they're multivitamins. What we like to do is if when you hold it, if you hold the pink bit, it's less likely to snap because they're quite thick. Like poke here and then poke the bum where you'd imagine you'd get that. Poke like what your hand is.
Yeah.
How hard that is, feel. So obviously to get something through there is much harder. Yeah, and then lacquer skin makes these little grid mark patterns. The easiest is to put it in the middle of one of those.
Okay.
That's all you got to do. And push real hard to get through.
Push in.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Nice. Well done.
Okay, there you go.
Great
honey.
stuff. Well done. Awesome. Well done. All finished.
Wow.
It's a good response to have.
She was asking if I want to help get some blood.
Already, which is quite
Yeah.
Do you want to feel it? It's quite muddy. Yeah, that's a belly button.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so soft.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is there's a vein running here. So I'm going to put this in and I'm going to ask you to connect these onto
The milky stuff here on the tail.
Yeah, so this is just vaginal discharge. It's probably coming into
You
season.
just slip it in.
Nice and normal, and then some
Slip
tips.
that in.
Yep. And you push it right in and then you keep pushing.
Keep pushing.
Yep. And then it clips in.
Oh, got
There
it.
you go. And then I'll...
There's
There
the
we go.
blood. It's coming.
Brilliant.
That's Alex, the helicopter pilot, sorry. There she is. You're going to get filmed, Alex.
Yeah. And you're the one who darted her.
Yeah.
Good job.
And it was in the bum. Did you see? After the
no.
teasing beforehand,
On
it
that
did hit the
side.
bum.
Have a feel these. So that's exactly the same as what her horns made out of. So you can feel on the other side of the foot. It's actually quite squishy.
Quartz, can I take your box? You got what you need?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, that can do it. And that's just this stuff will go in front.
Like this, so yeah. Just want to get a bit of distance.
They're going to wake the rhino up now, and we've got to move away so that we're at a safe distance from her.
When she's waking up, she get up very aggressive. It looked like upset who was chasing him around and he just wanted to go for everything. Even go for the bush, anything. So you need to be away from there.
Do they take off the blindfold and everything?
Yeah, they're taking off quick and then reversing back. And then you sometimes got up quick and then it just
Are they? And then they're jumping into a vehicle.
quick, yeah. They're gonna run back to the vehicle and drives down there.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
That was so amazing. I don't know if you could tell that I was crying. Oh, here.
Don't want to be too close.
Looks like a video game controller.
Exactly.
Yeah, there she's up. There she's up.
Oh, yep, she's up.
Running.
Yeah, no, she's running.
They'll keep a close eye on her just to be extra safe, but she's okay. When they start grazing straight away, so or browsing in her case, so that will to survive is built in strong enough.
Yeah, the research opportunities that have come out of this are amazing. And yeah, we can actually have a look on an app and see where all these animals are. So it's,
And monitor
Yeah,
her and know
yeah.
how she's doing.
yeah, for a guy who started off with a pencil and a clipboard, it's all quite a bit to take in.
Yeah. Well, it was overwhelming to
Yeah.
be there.
We've never had any complaints, put it that way. We've had lots of tears, but never any complaints. You know, people often say, well, you know, what can we do more? And I suppose it's more like relevant to you than you'll understand this more than we do. But it's like, you know, tell your friends and send them to Africa. You know, wherever they go, wherever there's a species that requires protection and there's tourism, that's where you need them, you know, whether it be gorillas, chimpanzees, rhinos, pangolins, it doesn't matter. The more guests that go there, the more sustainable it is, the more likely they're going to protect them. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of how the whole thing works. You know, but you know that, I don't have to tell you that.
amazing. It was just, wow. Well, that's our show for today. Subscribe on YouTube and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Till next time, I'm Karin Jones.